What's up, Reef Fanatics? In today's episode, we're talking about 7 products that every reef keeper needs. And of course, joined with me today is Levi Peterson, the oddball reefer. Levi,
What's
how
up?
you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing okay. So today we figured we'd talk about 7 products that every reef keeper needs or that we absolutely enjoy in the hobby. It's that time of the year, right? Black Friday's coming up. You're shopping for Christmas. We figured we would kind of get these products out that we like and enjoy. Maybe some products that we should warn you about too. I know we got a couple of those to talk about, but it's that time of the year. So if you're looking for something for your reef aquarium, or if you're looking for a reefer friend and you're trying to buy them something, maybe some of these products will fit what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So jumping right into it, Levi, what do we got for number 1?
So number 1 is my pride and true, the Revive Coral Cleaner from Two Little Fishies. Now that's probably by far my favorite coral dip there is. It just does such a great job. It's easy to use. It's relatively inexpensive, and it makes life easy. You know, it gets all those flatworms off. It's like citrus based, so it's going to get all those organisms that you don't want in your aquarium like out of like the corals. All the cracks and crevices that are on your frag or colony, it's going to make sure to get in there and get all those little bugs out, which is very convenient. So yeah, for that reason, I really enjoy it. And like I said, it's super easy to use. It's relatively inexpensive, and it's just an all-around great product just to have on your arsenal for reefing. So
yeah, and so walk us through it. Yep, there it is right there, Revive by Two Little Fishies. How are you using it? Do you use it when you're introducing corals for the first time? Are you using it if you see something going wrong with your corals? Go into depth a little bit.
So typically with the Revive, I'm always dipping like new corals, corals that come in or that I purchase that I'm putting into any of my tanks, just to be like common courtesy, even if they're like, oh, it's pest free, like you don't got to worry about it. I always just dip the coral,
Yeah.
So you never know, there might be something that someone misses or that you don't see with your naked eye that could eventually become a problem down the road. So I'm always just making sure to go ahead and just dip all the corals. That way it's helpful. Yeah, I mean, it tends to prevent a lot of issues down the road. But that like with that said, you still can have some slip through. And then also I've used this, like if I do notice a coral looking a little off or something's weird about it, I'll go ahead and use the Revive for the first option, just to kind of see if there's something eating at it. Yeah, I mean, it works good all around. I love it. Like I said too, it's relatively cheap and it gets the job done.
Yeah, and you just want to follow the instructions on the back of the bottle. But typically when I use it, I've used it a couple different ways. I've just had you pour the product in your water that you're putting your coral in, and then I kind of have like a something to stir the water or mix it up to aerate the water.
Yep.
And you can kind of aerate it, let it sit for like a minute or two or so, come back, aerate it again, or I've used an air stone in it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you want to keep that water moving, keep it mixed up.
Moving, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. I mean, it's a great product and I love it. So definitely highly recommend it. It's a perfect gift for like anyone that you may know that has a reef tank, or even if you have a reef tank, it's a good stocking stuffer. Like I said, it's relatively inexpensive and anyone can use it that has a reef tank. So
I just wanted to introduce to you my first ever children's book. I'm super excited to finally release this on Amazon. Now, I wrote this book for kids that may be scared or nervous about making new friends, to show that they can be brave and strong. And even though there may be challenges and unknowns, that children can still make new friends, and making friends is a beautiful thing. It's full of colorful pages that kids are going to enjoy. So go ahead and check this out. It is called Finn, the Brave Blue Tang. I'm super excited, super proud of this book. If you want to check out this book, it's available now on Amazon. Link is in the description below. Talking about stocking stuffers, I brought to the table the Never Rust tweezers from Vivid Creative Aquatics. So they make it in the 11-inch product right here, or I believe this is the 18-inch version, but this one is really good at either placing corals, getting down there, or moving things around in your tank. Like if you don't want to get in your tank, like get your hands in the tank, you can use these tweezers right here. They are 100% reef safe. They are 3D printed. The larger version here has a little bit better grips, I would say, than the smaller one. They both have the little grips at the end. This one you can change the colors of it, so that's cool. But yeah, it's just something to get down in your tank. I use it a lot to move things around, or to even pick corals up that got knocked over, kind of get down in there, tilt them back up in the sand bed. But yeah, 3D printed, reef safe. They're not really going to break. However, saying that, you notice the design of this one versus the design of the smaller one. So the handle's a little bit different. This larger one, I say you have less chance of breaking this one. The design is a lot better. This one, if you do put too much pressure on it, it can snap. So I've done that before, but most likely you're not going to break it. But yeah, I prefer the larger one. So
I need to get my hand on one of those, because I mean, with the nano tank specifically, I do have tweezers, but like they're like the quote unquote stainless steel ones, and they're all rusty and gross. So usually I typically, if I can, just use my hand, but I mean, then I knock stuff over, and like, you know, especially in Elizabeth's tanks, when I'm placing coral for her, like the tank's so small that I'm trying to, like, you know, weave in and out of the rocks and place it right. And like there's like a couple frags of zoas that fallen into the rockwork a little bit that I can't get with my hand, and I'd literally have to tear apart the tank. So I definitely need to get my hand on one of those. Those look pretty nice.
Yeah, these are great for getting into places that you can't really reach. The larger one, these are a little bit thicker, so it depends on the size of the crevice that the coral frag might have fallen into. The smaller one's a little bit thinner, but yeah, they both work good depending on your needs. I would say, I would say go for the larger one, even if you have a nano tank, because then you have more room to play with outside the tank. More grip. You're not like, this one's 11 inches, so you're not like halfway in the tank with this one, depending on the size of your tank. But yeah, I love them.
Definitely a good stocking stuffer. That's perfect. So next up here, we're going to jump into another product that I love. That is the Two Little Fishies Veggie Mag. Now, I don't have one to show you, but I do have one on the Caribbean tank. And it's probably one of my, like, it's a great stocking stuffer. It's relatively inexpensive as well. And I don't see hardly any reef tanks that really don't have it, especially if you have like a heavy like population of tangs in your tank, or just specific angelfish, and even in fish only tanks, because a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of fish that eat algae, like even wrasses and different other sorts of fish will eat algae. So when you get that clip going and get some nori in your reef aquarium, your fish will learn that that's like edible, and they'll start eventually congregating over to the quote unquote Two Little Fishies Veggie Mag and start eating the algae. And it's magnetic, so it's not like constantly lose suction and fall down to the bottom of the tank. It works great, and I've never had any issues with them. So great stocking stuffers. They work really well, and I definitely highly recommend them.
Yeah, I just uploaded an episode where I went to the fish store to buy an algae clip, and I totally, like, for whatever reason, I just went up to the counter. That's usually where they are, and grabbed the cheapest one. But looking back at it, I should have probably got one of the Veggie Mags, because of the magnetic way that it holds it to the tank.
Yeah, like that specifically alone is just very convenient. Just having that, I love it.
But yeah, that's a good reminder too. Like when you're feeding nori, or when you're feeding something. Like I was trying to feed Roger's Reef food
Okay.
because it kind of holds its structure a little bit more, so it's not just going to break apart in your tank. So putting it in a clip or one of those like nori sleeves or whatever
Yeah.
really
So
helps that.
Two Little Fishies also has a couple other products that I really like. The pouch feeder, which is great
Yeah,
for pretty much
that
what
one.
you're talking about. It's literally a pouch, and it's also comes with a magnet. So you kind of put that food in there, put it on a magnet, and stick it in your tank, and you're all good. And
Hmm.
one thing I do want to mention about the Veggie Mag is like for say if you knock off the magnet on the outside of the tank, the like the clip's not going to sink to the bottom to where you like have to go try to fish it out of your aquarium. It actually floats. So if you ever just
Okay.
knock like that magnet off, it will float. It's easy to grab right back out and place right back where you want it. So
Yeah, that's a plus. But also to your point too, is when you're first putting that in your tank, your fish may not understand what it's for, so they have to get used to it over time.
yeah,
But
I
it's a
mean
great little gift for any reefer to have.
exactly for sure. So
The next thing that I wanted to bring to the table is a refractometer because knowing how salty your water is will help you be successful with your reef aquarium. Um, and this is probably one of the best ways to do that. It's nice and simple to use. You just open up the end here. You're going to drip a couple drops on the glass. You're going to close it, and then you're going to look inside, and it's going to tell you the salinity of your water. So,
absolutely, yeah, those are awesome. I mean that's definitely one thing you can always rely on, and it's easy to calibrate to. Like for say, if you end up like dropping it or something, you can always just go ahead, go pick it up, and I mean you can adjust it right back because usually you knock the mirrors out of shape, so you can just pretty much adjust them back to what your water is. Yeah, they
mhm,
do really well. I mean, I love them. They're easy to use and they're really quick. You just need a little bit of light to look into, and
yep.
you're all set. So
Yeah, and as long as you're looking like the same light source every single time, you're going to be pretty consistent with your
absolutely.
readings on it. And they're pretty affordable too. You can get these
Mhm.
on Amazon. And all these products that we're going to be talking about, we'll have links in the description below on where you can pick them up at. But if you're picking one up on Amazon, you want to make sure you get one for saltwater because they use these in brewing as well, and then other industries. So you want to make sure you get one that is for saltwater aquariums, and yeah, that'll help you be successful with your reef tank.
Absolutely. And with that said, we'll go ahead and jump into our scientific segment. Now, this is for this specific fish can be used in like nano tanks. And actually, Elizabeth, my wife, just got one for her tank. And, I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was like, it's okay. Like it's small. It's perfect for a tank. But I mean, it's probably one of the coolest fish that I've like
Mhm.
ever actually like seen in an aquarium, like in a small tank per se. It's super bright yellow, and it has a bright purple
Yeah.
head. And they color up more once they get used to your tank. They look amazing. Um, they're mildly aggressive though, so I mean, if you have a small tank and you're looking to add something towards the end of adding fish to that aquarium, this would be a good one for that because they can become a little bit territorial. Yeah, the purple striped dotty back, like I said, it's a really cool fish. It's relatively inexpensive as well. Pseudochromis diadema. So just keep that in mind. If you're ever at a fish store, you got a nano tank, and you're just looking for something a little bit more that's going to be some like super eye catching and catch everyone's eye and stick out like a
Mhm.
sore thumb in your aquarium. This is the one.
Yeah, super cool fish for sure. A little bit of a temperament though.
Yes, for sure, definitely. That's why I was like saying if you like have a tank and you're looking for like kind of one last fish to add, I would definitely do this last because they definitely can get territorial.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, if you had it as the last fish, I mean, Elizabeth's having no issues with her with aggression right now. So, yeah,
Nice.
super pretty and super cool. So,
Awesome. How many fish does she have in her tank right now?
4. She has the 2 clownfish. She has a geometric hawkfish
Okay.
and the pseudochromis. So,
Very cool.
she wants
What
to
kind
get
of
like a goby of some sort, but like a watchman goby or something with like a little pistol shrimp. But last time we had a pistol shrimp in that tank, it was like destroy, like the sand was just all over the place.
Everywhere, yeah.
And it's like throw up sand and get sand everywhere and cloud up the tank all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we'll see.
Yeah, the kids' 10-gallon tanks have kind of been put on the back burner, so we need to start stocking those tanks up again, putting some corals in there, putting some different kind of fish in there.
Definitely.
But yeah, I haven't done any updates on that yet because there's really nothing to see yet. But yeah, that's a work in progress. But that's cool. What kind of corals are in there in her tank?
She's actually got quite a bunch of different like salties, suspiciolaria, a couple different leathers. She's got like those yellow polyps, the yellow parazoanthus, a Duncan, a little Duncan colony actually.
Nice.
Bubble coral, fox coral, and a like green with purple tip frog spawn. And she has like a big pipe organ frag in there too. So
that's awesome. That's a lot for that little tank. I bet it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's starting to fill out. At first, she was like, "Man, there's just no like color to it, like just the clownfish and a couple like uglier softies." So we actually went this weekend and picked out some more corals to kind of fill it out. And her tank's more of like it has like the blue color in it towards the evening, but like during the daytime, it's like more whitish. So she wanted to kind of add some corals that'll pop during the day too. So
cool, awesome. Well, with keeping reef tanks, saltwater aquariums in general, or aquariums in general, you have to test the water, right? So products that I wanted to bring to the table tonight is some test kits. And the test kits that I use and love are Salifert test kits. And I also use, I can move this out of the way, the Hanna checkers. So I just picked up a nitrate checker from Hanna Instruments. So I'll be getting that one set up and ready to go. But yeah, Salifert test kits, nice and simple, easy to use, as well as the Hanna checkers, nice and easy. Electronic readout. You don't have to worry about, like, if you're concerned with how many drops am I putting in the vials and stuff like that, then you can go Hanna checker. But I use them both. So
yeah, the Saliferts are just like a classic, like, and they're relatively easy to use. Like the first couple times you might, be like, wow, this is a lot. But once you do it a few times, like I use the Saliferts at work, and it's like second nature to me now. Like just using those. But I do have a couple different Hanna checkers that I use here at home. I love those, relatively easy, but you do have to like buy reagents every so often. And they are a little more expensive, than the Salifert. Like they're up there. But if you're like been in the hobby for a while and you're looking for like something, step up your game, get some like different products to use, I definitely, the Hanna checkers are always a good one to kind of add to your arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way I'm using Salifert right now is I'm actually loading up the Reef bot with them and letting the Reef bot lab handle the testing. So
there you go.
Really cool.
We do have another product here that I'm going to talk about. And I've have mixed feelings about this product. It works amazing when it works. That's going to be the Algae scrubber, clear water scrubbers. They are actually no longer in business right now, but the products are amazing. They get the job done. They do really well, and it did amazing for me at removing nitrates and phosphates. And this is the older version, not before they created the newer version that came out probably a couple of years ago now. And I loved it. I mean, it especially for the NPS tank, my old NPS tank, it like sucked out nitrates like you wouldn't believe, phosphate like no problem. And I loved it. Like it worked really well. But I did start to run into issues where it would start leaking like out the side, and I'd actually lose a lot of water and it'd get all over like my floor. So that was definitely really frustrating. And I did try to kind of figure out what was causing it, and I thought I had, but that didn't end up being the case. So basically how it works, you got a pump that pumps up water, and you got little holes that kind of go down over a little screen. Now what would happen is the water would somehow kind of like trickle out and then start dripping down. And other than that, it worked really well. It did its job for what it was made to do. But unfortunately, like I just couldn't risk having it leak all over the place. I even tried moving it to where it would just end up leaking in the sump, but I still had leaking issues with it. So I decided, like just to take it down, maybe try to figure out, like, I don't know. I still have it, so I might, try to jerry rig it to where I know it wouldn't leak. But just for the time being, I took it down. So I'm just having to do a little bit more water changes on that system, which is the Caribbean system. So I haven't really had to do many water changes recently because there's no fish in there, so there's not much extra waste. But yeah, so that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, that's always frustrating when you get a product, especially something like that, that has a really cool way of filtering the water, working, and then it just ends up not working for you. So I went on Amazon looking for a scraper, an algae scraper for the glass, or a glass scraper, and I picked up this retractable scraper right here, and it doesn't really retract anymore. It's all rusted, but I thought that function was neat in the beginning. But my main problem with this guy, and I kind of bent the corner here if you can see it. I haven't used it in a while, so it's all rusted now, but you can see the blade. The blade is very, very flexible. So whenever you scrape this along your glass, it's not really scraping anything. So this brand is called Hot Tool Line, or Hot Tool Line. I'll put that up on the screen or in the description. But this is something you definitely do not want to buy for your fish tank because it doesn't scrape anything. It doesn't scrape coralline algae. It might work well for the film algae, but you're not getting coralline algae off with that. So one that I would recommend would be two little Fishies scraper. This thing is awesome.
Absolutely.
And then I got the extended one too.
Sweet.
So not only do you get the depth with it, you can also just use the shorter side too. So it's really cool.
Awesome.
And the blade doesn't bend, so it's a real blade.
And so I do have one more product I'd like to share with you guys. And that's going to be the UNS Surface Skimmer for like smaller aquariums.
Nice. Those are cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're a little bit up there, but they're actually not bad for what they are, like cost wise. And I always had this issue with smaller tanks, to just get the right amount of flow, and I either had too much or not enough. So because I feel like a lot of these tanks are designed a little off. Like this all-in-one system that Elizabeth has is great, but the pump that came with it is just super weak, and it pushes like no water. So I feel like there's just not enough flow in the tank. I ended up swapping that pump out. We got a little bit more flow now. I was like, I think it was at Refractometer, California last year, and I saw this product, and I'm like, I kind of want to try that just to see, if it kind of creates some more flow. And I also, with smaller tanks, always had the issue, if you didn't have enough flow, you get kind of like the surface, like just gunk that would sit because you're like, I just didn't have much flow in the tank. So I got one of these UNS skimmers like last year at Refractometer, California. Put it in our tank, and it's insane what it does. Like all that gunk is gone, and it's pushing more flow. And it does have a filter; it cleans everything that goes through it, and then it pushes flow like midsection of your tank, just to kind of keep that flow going and create more flow for your corals and stuff. So I love it; it works great,
Awesome.
and I have one on every single one of my little nano tanks. So I definitely highly recommend it. It works great for the nano tanks. You don't got to worry about that gunk, and you're still going to get the flow with it as well.
Very cool. And this is what you're talking about right here on the screen, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So it looks very simple to get it working right and to make adjustments, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, it's easy to take apart, easy to clean. It has like a little sponge in there that I clean once a week, and it does great. And so one thing I do like about this too, depending on how high like your system is that you're using it in, you can lower and put the suction with the skimmer however deep you want it, as well as deep as this skimmer little cup thing goes, and that cup at the top actually floats to your water level.
Okay.
So it adjusts, and you can kind of adjust it how you like it. But yeah, it floats all the way to the top and keeps skimming the top of the water. So
that's cool. Yeah, I have a hang on the back on one of the 10 gallons that has a little surface skimmer. that kind of bobs, like floats up with the water.
Yep.
So that's cool. Awesome. Well, before we go, I have a bonus product that I think is pretty great, especially if you don't have a quarantine tank or a hospital tank. Whenever you get a new fish, would be safety stop right here, the Rapid Fish Quarantine. I use this a lot. I don't believe this is on Amazon, but I will leave a link in the description below where you can pick this up. But you have a part A and a part B that you just mix in your water when you get a new fish. Let them hang out in part A for a little while. Then you let them hang out in part B for a little while. And it's just a preventative. It is a bath to kind of help treat them before you introduce anything that you don't want into your tank. Similar to like using Revive for corals. But I mean, with anything, things can still kind of pass through. So if you're doing a preventative coral dip with Revive, or you're doing the safety stop right here to introduce new fish, highly recommend this. I've been using it on every fish that I introduce into the tank. So if you don't have space for a quarantine, pick this up. Let us know if you agree with that list in the comments below. Let us know what products you like and recommend this holiday season. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast, for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.